We all spend a lot of time thinking about various problems, our health, our money, how to keep our kids safe at school, and many others. These are all problems, to be sure, but they're also temporary. These problems don't last forever because we don't live in this world forever. Life is short, death is certain, but the hour of death is uncertain. At death, all of these problems come to an end. But then what? What will happen to us after we die? Jesus Christ had an answer to that question. He said that at the moment of our deaths, we will be judged for how we have lived our lives. He said that some will go to eternal happiness in heaven, and others will be eternally tormented in hell. But hardly anyone takes these warnings of Christ seriously anymore. In fact, a recent survey showed that out of the 82% of Americans that believe in heaven, only 69% of them believe in hell, and only 1% of Americans think that they actually stand a good chance of going there. The doctrine of hell is probably the most disputed and despised teaching of Christianity. Outsiders think it's false and monstrous. Many Christians are even embarrassed by the doctrine and want to soften it or sweep it under the rug. Believing in hell today is very unpopular. It's not cool. After all, it seems unimaginably horrible that a loving God would ever allow such a thing to happen. But just because an idea is unpopular, that doesn't mean it's false. Jesus Christ himself, the same person who teaches that God is love, also spoke clearly and frequently about the existence of hell and that many people are in danger of being sent there forever. He taught that the most important question we can think about in this life is where we will spend eternity. He said that to worry too much about other things is foolish. After all, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world only to lose his soul? So it's clear whether or not there is a hell makes an enormous difference in how we live our lives. We need to know before we die if hell exists, what it's like, and how likely it is we will go there. Nothing can be more important than that. The purpose of this course is to restore a healthy fear of the Lord by explaining and defending the classic Christian doctrine of hell. In doing this, I want to defend three main points. Number one, that hell exists. We are going to see why it's true that there is a fiery place of punishment in the afterlife, and that those who die in a state of grave sin will go there. Number two, that hell is eternal. We're going to show here that those people who are damned to hell will never be released from their torments, and they will never be annihilated. The punishments of hell last forever. And finally, number three, we will show that many will be damned. You know, one of the most prevalent errors in our day is a mindless optimism about salvation. Most believers run around with a watered down and sugary feel-good version of Christianity in their heads, a trivialized Christianity stripped of all of its uncomfortable teachings. They think that God is good and merciful, salvation is easy, and so there's nothing really to fear. But Jesus Christ never taught this. He never said anything like that. On the contrary, Christ said we need to fear God, who can punish both body and soul in hell. He told us to watch, be ready, for death might come like a thief in the night. But to just take it for granted that practically everybody is going to be saved breeds laxity about religion. It breeds a dangerous tendency to be indifferent and easygoing about one's salvation. Moreover, Christ also seemed to say that most people will not be saved. People today might find this hard to believe, but this was by far and away the majority opinion of the greatest saints and theologians of all time. Towering intellects like St. Augustine, St. Jerome, St. Thomas Aquinas, St. Alphonsus Liguori, and many others all thought that the Bible teaches that although many are called to eternal happiness with God in heaven, few people will actually get there. So contrary to this modern widespread assumption that practically everybody is saved, we're going to see why the traditional, more pessimistic view of salvation is probably right. There are, of course, many objections that come up to the doctrine of hell. Why does an all-loving God send people to hell? How do we reconcile hell with God's mercy and justice? How can any crime we commit here on earth merit an eternal hell? Why doesn't God just annihilate the damned, or maybe just let them out of hell someday? Some people think that these objections are decisive. They think that they show hell doesn't exist, or at least if it does, that it's not eternal or that nobody goes there. But these objections are nothing new. The great theologians of the past have given them careful consideration and shown that these objections do not disprove the doctrine of hell. So in this section, we will critically examine objections like these and demonstrate why they fail to undermine belief in the doctrine of hell and how they can be answered in a way that reconciles God's mercy and justice with the punishments of eternal damnation.